Ever noticed how silence can scream louder than words? You don't yell, you don't chase, you just go quiet. And suddenly, they're the ones losing sleep. Yeah, that's silence. It's not nothing, it's power. But here's the twist. It can also hurt them more than you think. Let's talk about why. We all know that guy. The one who stops replying mid-argument and suddenly turns into a ghost. The girls texting long paragraphs, full of emotions and you never listen monologues. And he's out here channeling his inner stoic monk. Calm, silent, still, like a mountain. And people say, wow, what emotional control. Yeah, sure, but what if I told you? That silence isn't always a flex. Sometimes your silence. It's not power, it's punishment. And when you're using silence not to stay calm, but to make someone feel something, now you're not being stoic. You're just playing games. Let's break this down. Simple, real, and with a little humor so you don't cry halfway through. Part 1. Why we go silent and think we're being deep. Here's what most people think Stoicism is. Someone makes me mad. I don't react. I just sip my coffee and stare out the window like I'm in a Netflix drama. Yeah, cool story, bro. But Stoicism isn't about avoiding people or ghosting your girlfriend to win an imaginary battle. It's about self-control, wisdom, and understanding your emotions without being controlled by them. Not pretending you don't care. So why do we go silent? Let me give you 3 very human reasons. 1. We're hurt and don't know what to say. Sometimes silence is just confusion. We're too overwhelmed to respond. We think, if I open my mouth right now, it'll be bad. Totally valid. 2. We want to make them feel bad. This one? Not so stoic. This is what kids do when they cross their arms and pout, "I'm not talking to you anymore." You want them to suffer a little. Admit it. It's okay. We've all been there. 3. We think silence makes us look stronger. You think if you say nothing, you win, and maybe they'll come crawling back. Spoiler, that's not strength, that's strategy, and Stoicism isn't strategy, it's serenity. Part 2. The problem with silent wars. Let's say you're dating someone. You have a fight. You go silent for 2 days. You think, she needs to learn. I won't reward bad behavior. Okay, Professor. But what if she's crying on the other side, thinking you don't care? You're sitting there like a stone, and she's spiraling like a washing machine on turbo spin. Because here's the thing, your silence doesn't always communicate calmness. Sometimes it communicates coldness, neglect, rejection. And humans, we're social creatures. We don't need essays, we need signals that say, I'm still here, I still care, I just need a minute. That's Stoicism. Silence with clarity, distance with dignity, not manipulation. Part 3. The Stoic way to be silent. So what is the Stoic way to be silent? Picture this. You're upset. You feel like exploding. Instead you say, hey, I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I need some space. Let's talk later. Boom. Magic. You communicated and remained calm. That's Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius didn't ghost people in the Roman Empire. He faced plagues, wars, and political chaos, and still found time to journal his feelings like a Roman Shakespeare. You think he would have said, "My dear Lucilla, I'm not mad. I'm just not going to speak to you until Saturn aligns with Jupiter." No. He talked, he wrote, he reflected. He didn't run, he responded. Silence has power, but it must be paired with intention. You can pause without vanishing. You can be silent without being cruel. Part 4. Silence isn't always golden, especially in relationships. Let me hit you with this. Silence in a relationship is like not watering a plant. At first it's fine, then the leaves curl, then it droops. And one day, it's just a pot of dry soil and regret. People need reassurance. They need words like, I'm upset, but I still care. Or, I'm not ready to talk yet, but I will. Even just, I need a day. Please don't take it personally. Otherwise, they start to build stories in their head. And let me tell you, those stories, they're almost always worse than reality. She's not thinking, oh, he's just taking time to reflect. She's thinking, he's done with me. He doesn't care. I meant nothing. And if that's not true, then your silence is hurting her for no reason. Part 5. When silence becomes a weapon. Let's talk about the silent treatment. Yeah, that toxic little tool we all secretly know how to use. You know the drill. You're mad. They're mad. Instead of talking, you give them the look and then go radio silent. They text. You leave it on read. They call. You ignore it. They say, can we talk? You say, I have nothing to say. You feel powerful for a moment. You think, now they know how it feels. But here's the Stoic truth bomb. Revenge is the ego's entertainment. And a Stoic doesn't live for ego. You're not here to teach them a lesson by becoming a cold statue. You're here to be better, not bitter. Because when silence becomes a punishment, you've turned your peace into a poison. Part 6. The quiet that heals versus the quiet that hurts. There are two types of silence. 1. The healing silence. This is the kind where you say, I need space, and use that time to reflect, journal, breathe, walk, think. You come back clearer, calmer, kinder. That's Stoic. 2. The hurting silence. This is when you pull away to make someone feel unloved, insecure, or desperate. That's ego in disguise. That's not strength. It's subtle cruelty. And here's the kicker. Most people can feel the difference. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel it in their gut. Healing silence feels safe. Hurting silence feels cold and scary. Part 7. But what if they deserve the silence? I hear you. But what if they were rude? What if they disrespected me? Don't I have the right to go silent? Yes, you absolutely have the right to protect your peace. But here's the Stoic way. You don't owe them a speech, but you owe yourself dignity. So instead of vanishing like a magician, say this. I need space right now because I feel disrespected. I'm not shutting you out forever, but I'm protecting my peace. Boom. Now you've set a boundary without being a silent executioner. Now your silence is strong and wise. Part 8. How to use silence. Like a Stoic. Here's how to know your silence is Stoic, not toxic. You're not trying to control or manipulate. You've communicated your need for space. You're using the silence to grow, not to punish. You're not secretly hoping they suffer. And hey, use silence for you. To recharge, to think, to reflect, to get clarity. Not to play emotional chess. Because real peace isn't when they finally crack and text first. It's when you don't need the game anymore. Part 9. Sometimes they'll miss you because of your silence. This part's gonna sting a bit. Sometimes you go silent, not to manipulate, but because you've truly let go, and that silence, it's deafening, because it's real. They text, you don't reply, not to punish, but because there's nothing left to say. They finally realize what they had, but it's too late. And that silence, that's the sound of closure, not cruelty. That's the Stoic's final chapter. Not loud, not angry, just done. Final words. Speak when it matters. Stay silent when it heals. Silence is powerful. But like any power, it depends on how you use it. It can be a gift, a weapon, a shield, or a wall. But the Stoic doesn't hide behind silence. He chooses it, mindfully, wisely, gently. So the next time you go quiet, ask yourself, am I doing this to heal or to hurt? Because your silence It's saying something. Make sure it's saying the right thing. If this hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, silence can be golden, but only when your heart is still shining underneath it. Stay stoic, stay kind, speak with intention, and when in doubt, just say what you mean. Even if it's just, "I need a moment, I'll come back soon." Because even the quietest voice, when spoken with love, can echo forever.